Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are taking a look at an artist whose life, whose career was just so much richer, so much more complex than, the one single role most people remember him for.
Mm.
We're doing a deep dive into the legacy of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Yes, the actor, but also the director, the celebrated poet, the Grammy-winning musician. His journey, it spanned, 4 decades. Consistent creativity, constant reinvention.
It really did. And it's genuinely tough to find another child star who managed that kind of escape,
Yeah.
Shedding that defining character, but also hitting such high points in completely different fields.
Right.
Our sources, they paint this picture of just relentless dedication, not just acting, obviously, but jazz, spoken word, filmmaking too. For you listening, this dive is kind of a shortcut to grasping the sheer scale of what he achieved outside of, primetime TV.
Yeah, and our mission today is synthesis. We want to go beyond just the timeline. We want to understand the why, why the pivots. From the sitcom set to directing, say, New Edition music videos. Yeah. From dramatic TV shows to, the Grammy stage. We really need to explore those achievements that often get overlooked. Especially, I think, his status as a serious, recognized artist in literature and music.
And maybe the best place to start, for context, for understanding that whole trajectory, is his name, the origin of his name.
Okay.
He was born August 18th, 1970, Jersey City, New Jersey. And his parents, they chose names from two, towering figures, really representing different but, equally powerful streams of Black culture and social excellence.
Who were they?
Civil rights leader Malcolm X and the hugely influential modern jazz pianist Ahmad Jamal.
Wow. Okay, that is fascinating. Because right away, that sets up this kind of dual mandate for his life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Social consciousness on one hand, artistic rhythm on the other.
Exactly.
It almost suggests this expectation, this level of excellence in both areas way before he ever even thought about auditioning for TV.
Precisely. And then the family moves. They go to Los Angeles when he's only 5. By the time he's 9, he's already kind of immersed in performing arts, showing this natural interest, this talent that led him to acting schools really early on.
So it wasn't a fluke discovery.
No, not at all. This was something cultivated, an interest he pursued.
And you see the professional dedication in his schooling, too. Even with his career starting to take off, he kept a focus on education. He graduated from the Professional Children's School in New York City.
Right, which is famous for that, isn't it? Balancing the academics with the crazy schedules young performers have.
Exactly. And that early discipline, you have to think, that was the bedrock, right? The foundation for the much more diversified career that came later.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The conversation really has to start where, the public recognition blew up.
Yeah.
Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show ran from 84 to 92. And this wasn't just a hit show. It was a cultural phenomenon.
A monolith, yeah.
And how he got the role, it's kind of spectacular, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. He was literally the final piece they needed. The sources are clear. He auditioned on the very last day of this huge nationwide search for the son, for Theo.
Wow.
So imagine walking into that room. The show's already greenlit. The rest of the family, Cliff, Claire, the daughters, they're all cast.
Right.
The pressure must have been immense, but, he nailed it.
And Theo, the character, he was so crucial. He was kind of the average kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Struggling with school sometimes, which really contrasted with his super successful professional parents.
Mm-hmm.
It gave the show some of its most memorable moments. Important moments, too, like that famous Monopoly Money speech, remember, where teaches Theo about the value of work and money.
That relatability, that's exactly what made his performance so strong, so enduring. And the industry saw it fast. That led to his Emmy nomination, Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series. That was at the 86 Emmys.
Just 2 years into the show's run.
Yeah, exactly. 2 years in, which just solidified that his acting wasn't just, popular with viewers. It was respected by his peers, too. Critically respected.
That Emmy nomination, that's a really key data point for us, I think, because it immediately lifts him above a lot of other popular child actors from that time.
Absolutely.
He had critical merit. And that gave him this crucial foundation when the show finally ended in 1992.
And that transition period, as we know, that's the danger zone, isn't it?
The minefield, yeah.
The notorious minefield for former child stars. So many just vanish. Or worse, they struggle publicly trying to escape an identity that just doesn't fit anymore. But Warner, he took a different approach. It seems really aggressive, strategic, prioritizing versatility, showing he was committed to the craft, immediately.
You see that rapid shift right away with that short-lived NBC sitcom, Here Now.
Yeah.
That was 92 to 93.
Right after Cosby ended.
Exactly. It wasn't important because it lasted a long time, but because it happened so quickly after the finale. He jumped straight into another lead role, playing Alexander A.J. James. It showed the industry, look, I'm an employable adult actor, not just, Theo Huxtable grown up.
That speed, it's telling.
Yep.
But maybe even more insightful than just the acting roles was how he used his fame for, educational stuff.
Ah, right. CBS Story Break.
Yeah, from 93 to 94, he hosted that kids show promoting literacy. That feels like a really direct positive use of his platform, linking back to that, intellectual foundation we talked about with his name.
And his acting choices around then, they seem really focused on showing range. Like in 91, Cosby was still on the air. He guest starred on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Hilary Banks' boyfriend.
Right, which was kind of a comfortable step,
Yeah.
Comedic, but moving towards slightly more adult roles.
But then you see the deliberate, counter-programming. Look at 1995. He shows up on Touched by an Angel, the drama series.
Being a homeless man. Exactly. That's a conscious move, right? To shake off that polished, upper-middle-class Theo image. It showed grit. It showed he was willing to take roles that needed real, dramatic depth transformation.
And that move, it clearly paid off. It earned him an NAACP Image Award nomination in 96. Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series.
Sure.
These nominations, they prove that people, critics, award bodies, they got it. They understood he was actively working to evolve his professional identity.
And we should definitely mention the voice work, too. That's often kind of an underappreciated path for successful child actors, right? To expand their craft without being visually typecast.
Good point.
He spent 3 years, 94 to 97, voicing the producer character on the Magic School Bus.
Which was huge and educational.
Yeah, super popular. And it let him flex his performance muscles in a way where, looking like Theo was totally irrelevant.
And his film choices, early to mid-90s, they really cement this work ethic. He wasn't just doing TV, he was strategically moving between different mediums. He took the role of Deputy U.S. Marshal Terry Nessep in that 1994 action movie, Drop Zone.
With Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
Let's pause on Drop Zone for a sec, because that was a pretty big deal, a high-stakes action movie. Playing a deputy U.S. Marshal opposite an established action star like Wesley Snipes that demands a certain, physical presence, a gravitas, that was completely different from his sitcom work.
Totally.
It showed the industry, okay, this guy can anchor a dramatic physical role.
And this leads right into some really significant biographical film work. He landed with HBO in 95. Big year for him.
Huge year.
He played Roy Holloway, Mike Tyson's best friend and manager, in the movie Tyson. And he was also in The Tuskegee Airmen.
As Leroy Cappy, yeah. That was a critically acclaimed historical drama.
Playing real people, historical figures, especially in prestige projects like those HBO films. It just demonstrated this commitment to serious dramatic acting, to historical storytelling.
He was moving so seamlessly, so rapidly between action, drama, comedy, animation. This period, it wasn't about struggling to find work. It was clearly about aggressively diversifying his portfolio, building that foundation.
So if part one was about, transition and maybe even survival in the industry post-child stardom, part two feels like it's about achieving real creative control. And it's pretty rare, isn't it, for actors, especially young ones, to transition behind the camera while they're still, super famous for their main show.
That's where you see the foresight again. Warner started directing episodes of The Cosby Show itself.
Right, while he was still Theo.
Yeah, which is an incredible move. It shows this proactive desire to understand how production works, not just performance. He wasn't waiting for the show to end to figure out his next step. He was learning the trade from the inside on one of the biggest shows ever.
And he didn't just stick to directing sitcoms either. He moved pretty quickly into the music video world, which, back then, late 80s, early 90s, that was a super vibrant, highly visual medium. Needed a totally different kind of rhythm, different storytelling.
That's right. Our sources, they list several specific examples that really place him in that whole era's visual culture. 1989, he directed the video for New Edition's Any Heartbreak.
Wow, New Edition. That's huge.
Think about the context. New Edition was massive then, basically pioneering that whole new jack swing sound. Their videos needed complex choreography, that visual gloss, strong narrative pacing.
It's a really remarkable visual pivot for the guy still known primarily as Theo Huxtable.
Totally. And he also directed rapper Special Ed's I'm the Magnificent that same year, 1989.
Okay.
And later, in 94, he directed the British R&B group Five Stars video for I Love You for Sentimental Reasons. Directing those videos, it required synthesizing music, narrative, visual economy skills that are, essential for any creative storyteller.
And that directorial credibility, it clearly allowed him to just slide right into directing TV episodes throughout the 90s, often in the genre he knew best, the sitcom, but now he was the one calling the shots.
Yeah, he directed episodes of popular shows like All That, Kenan and Kel.
Nickelodeon staples.
Exactly. His own sitcom, Malcolm and Eddie, he directed some of those. And notably, several episodes of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where, remember, he'd already guest starred.
Right, full circle.
He had truly cemented himself as this trusted, talented director within that whole Black sitcom world.
But stepping back a bit, maybe the most, profound use of his directing talent came in 1992, right as he was making that transition into his adult career, his public health work.
Oh, this needs a real deep dive because it speaks directly back to that founding principle, that idea suggested by his name, right? Social consciousness.
Okay.
So 1992, the social climate around HIV and AIDS was just critical. Misinformation was everywhere, especially about how it spread, how to prevent it, particularly among young people. Warner directed this teen-focused public health video, Time Out, The Truth About HIV, AIDS, and You.
And the timing here is crucial, isn't it? And the star power he could pull together. This was right after Magic Johnson's announcement in late 91 that he was HIV positive.
Which just galvanized the whole conversation.
Exactly. So Warner was able to use his own platform, the respect he had in the entertainment world, to bring together huge names like Arsenio Hall and Magic Johnson himself for this direct message to young people.
The significance of that project, it really can't be overstated. He used his newly developed directing skills not for, commercial gain, but for this urgent public service message.
Yeah.
It was critical in a moment of real crisis and fear. It was such a sophisticated display of ethical, social responsibility, proving his commitment went way beyond the soundstage.
Okay, let's pivot now, because this is maybe the truly unique part of his career, the thing that sets him apart from pretty much all his peers.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets really interesting. His life as a professional, acclaimed spoken word artist and musician.
Yeah.
His multi-hyphenate status wasn't just acting and directing. It was rooted in jazz.
This was clearly his creative core, running parallel to all the mainstream acting work he was doing. His musical exploration, it officially kicked off in the early 2000s, rooted in jazz funk. 2003, he drops his debut EP, the Miles Long Mixtape. Then his second CD, Love and Other Social Issues, came out in 2007.
And this wasn't just some celebrity, mess around with music.
No.
But the sources say he was proficient on the bass guitar. And his performances, they were this conscious fusion. He performed his own spoken word poetry over original music and bass lines that he created himself.
Yeah, it was an intellectual thing, a deeply personal artistic statement that connected the rhythm of jazz to the rhythm of poetry. He was moving in these sophisticated, often kind of niche artistic circles.
And that commitment, that dedication, it led to the ultimate validation, didn't it? A Grammy Award in 2015.
A Grammy. He won Best Traditional R&B Performance for his contribution to the track Jesus, Children of America. It was a cover of the Stevie Wonder song done by the Robert Glasper Experiment featuring Lala Hathaway.
Okay, let's connect this to the bigger picture for a second. That collaboration, Robert Glasper Experiment, Lala Hathaway, that puts him right in the thick of the modern jazz and R&B fusion scene, working with Grammy-winning heavy hitters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Robert Glasper Experiment, they're known for blending hip-hop, jazz, soul into these really complex modern arrangements. For Warner to be featured on a track of that caliber, it's just astounding, really.
And his contribution wasn't just like a minor feature, it was pivotal.
Totally pivotal. He performed a dedicated poem on the track. And what's critical here for you, the listener, is the subject matter. He wrote and performed that poem as this intensely emotional dedication to the victims and the families of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting.
Wow. So his Grammy win, it wasn't just an artistic achievement. It was an act of political and social mourning. Using the power of spoken word and music to process a national tragedy.
Yeah.
That's a huge moment of synthesis for his career, isn't it? It solidifies him not just as a successful transition story, but as a Grammy-winning artist, using his platform for really profound commentary.
And that recognition, it continued, and perhaps even more surprisingly, it kind of pioneered a new category. His 2022 spoken word poetry album, Hiding in Plain View, it got a nomination for Best Spoken Word Poetry Album at the 65th Annual Grammy Awards.
Okay, this raises an important question then. Why is that specific nomination so significant? What's the big deal there?
Because the 65th Grammys, the ones presented in 2023, that was the very first year the Recording Academy officially introduced a specific category just for Best Spoken Word Poetry Album.
Oh, okay.
Before that, poetry albums were just kind of lumped into the broader spoken word album category, which was often dominated by audiobooks or, political speeches. This new category, it legitimized the actual art form of performative poetry within the mainstream music industry.
And he was right there, nominated in the very first year, the inaugural class.
Exactly. He wasn't just reacting to trends. He was helping pioneer the space, showing that this intellectual, rhythmic art form that he'd been cultivating for, 2 decades, it was finally getting its own specific industry recognition.
He was really a cornerstone of that scene, wasn't he? Hosting the Poetry Jam at the National Black Theater Festival for years.
Yeah, from 2003 onwards. He'd carved out this thriving, meaningful artistic career that existed completely separate from his Hollywood fame, yet he brought the same level of discipline, the same seriousness to it.
So despite all these accolades in music and directing, Warner never really left television, did he? He showed this incredible resilience, this ability to keep landing long-term, defining adult roles. A couple of successful sitcom rebounds, late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, the most significant one was probably Malcolm and Eddie. That ran for 4 seasons on UPN from 96 to 2000. He starred as Malcolm McGee opposite the comedian Eddie Griffin.
Right.
And this was a really crucial period for him, I think, because it proved he could successfully anchor a multi-camera sitcom as a full-fledged adult.
Yeah.
He still had that comedic timing people expected, but now outside the constraints of, a family show structure.
And that dynamic between Warner's character, Malcolm, who was more grounded, kind of earnest.
Yeah, the straight man.
And Griffin's Eddie, who was just wild and chaotic. That contrast worked really well for audiences for a long time.
It did. And it earned him another NAACP Image Award nomination in 2001. So again, proof that he was maintaining relevance and quality in the comedy space even then.
And his career just kept showing this pattern of stability. Right after Malcolm and Eddie, he worked with Jason Alexander, who was, fresh off Seinfeld.
Huge star.
In that CBS sitcom, Listen Up. It was short-lived, only 2004, 2005. But it was highly anticipated. His consistency in just getting these kinds of main cast roles is almost unmatched among his child star peers.
It really is remarkable.
But the 21st century also saw him continue that pivot towards dramatic work, genre work, refusing to be pigeonholed. He took a main cast role in that post-apocalyptic drama, Jeremiah.
Right, from 2002 to 2004, he played Curdy Malloy, which is, talk about a stark contrast from the safe, family-friendly humor he was known for.
Totally different vibe.
It showed he was willing to commit to long-form cable drama, often with darker themes, grittier settings, and at the same time, he kept this steady, diverse presence in movies. We mentioned the action stuff earlier, but he also showed he could handle, big blockbuster romantic comedy. He was Cordell in Fool's Gold.
The Matthew McConaughey, Kate Hudson movie from 2008.
Right.
What really stands out, though, is his continued success playing real-life figures in major biographical dramas. We talked about Tyson earlier, but his portrayal of A.C. Cowlings.
Oh, yeah.
O.J. Simpson's friend, the driver of the infamous white Bronco, and the People v. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story in 2016. That was incredibly recognizable and, complex.
Playing A.C. Cowlings, that was a masterful choice, I think. It required immense subtlety. Cowlings was right there, central to one of the most televised, chaotic events in modern history, right?
Right in the middle of it.
But he wasn't really a major player in the trial itself. So Warner had to convey the fear, the loyalty, the sheer historical weight of that moment just using nuanced dramatic acting. It further cemented him as this serious dramatic force.
And if we look at his sustained mid-career TV presence, he was just a fixture, wasn't he, on major network and cable dramas, landing these reliable, recurring roles that kept him visible and maintained his dramatic credibility.
Absolutely. He was very successful getting legal and police roles, which often demand that kind of precision and gravitas. 2016 to 2017, he played Julius Rowe, the prison counselor, on season 6 of Suits on USA Network.
Popular show.
Very popular. And before that, he had a pretty significant run as Lieutenant Chuck Cooper on the police procedural Major Crimes on TNT from 2014 to 2016. And he also had that recurring role, James Bagwell, the parole officer, on Amazon's Sneaky Pete across 3 seasons.
This pattern, it shows a really strategic approach to managing his career, doesn't it? Understanding that recurring roles in successful dramas, that's the bread and butter of a lasting career, Much safer, maybe more rewarding than just chasing one-off leads all the time.
Yeah, consistency. And speaking of understanding one's history, maybe the best example of him being totally at peace with his own legacy came during his guest spot on Community.
Oh, I love this anecdote.
Oh.
Yeah, he played Andre Bennett, Shirley's ex-husband, in 2011 and 2012. And the sources mention this fantastic, self-referential moment where his character basically addressed the cultural weight of his past head-on.
He wore what was unmistakably, a Cosby sweater in one scene.
He did.
And when asked about it, his character just says, oh, the sweater, it was from his dad.
It's brilliant.
It shows such a deep level of comfort, humor about his own history, demonstrating that he saw the cultural influence of Theo not as some burden he had to shake off, but as this recognizable part of his journey that he could playfully acknowledge. He owned it.
That kind of self-awareness, that's key to a long career, isn't it?
Yeah.
And at the same time he was doing that, he had a pivotal leading role in the Beatty scripted comedy series, Read Between the Lines.
Right, that ran in 2011, then came back for a second run in 2015. He played Dr. Alex Reed, an English professor in a blended family.
Another NAACP Image Award win for that one, too. Outstanding actor in a comedy series in 2012.
Yep. And playing an English professor again, this intellectual, grounding figure, it speaks again to that thread of academic literary focus that ran through his life, So far removed from the kids struggling with homework, Theo Huxtable.
Which brings us really to the final sustained major role of his professional life. Dr. A.J. the Raptor, Austin on the FX medical drama, The Resident.
From 2018 right up until the show ended in 2023, he was a prominent main cast member.
And Dr. Austin the Raptor.
Yeah.
He was this highly skilled, super confident, specialized cardiac surgeon, known for his sharp mind, maybe a challenging ego sometimes.
Yeah, a bit arrogant, but brilliant.
Right. But if you look at that progression, from Theo, the struggling student, to Dr. Austin, the brilliant, life-saving expert, it's kind of the ultimate professional maturation, isn't it?
It really is. He anchored a major network medical drama for most of its run, showing immense stability and high-level success right up until the very end of its production.
So this whole segment of his career, running parallel to his Grammy-nominated poetry, it just solidifies the unique breadth of his talents. He was an acclaimed artist who could simultaneously hold down a lead role as a brilliant surgeon on network television. Just remarkable range.
So to really round out the full picture of the man, we should briefly touch on his personal life. Although he was known for being notably private, really prioritizing keeping his public persona separate from his family life.
Yeah, that definitely comes through. We should mention his relationships, though, which often involved his peers in the industry. He dated Michelle Thomas, remember? She played Justine Phillips, his girlfriend on The Cosby Show.
Right. They dated until '94 and apparently remained really close friends until her tragic death in 1998.
Very sad. He also had a long-term relationship with actress Karen Molina White for, 7.5 years?
Yeah, a long time. And later with actress and director Regina King from 2011 to 2013.
But then he married Tanisha Warner in 2017. And our sources confirm they had a daughter, born around 2016 or 2017.
And he made this very conscious, protective choice to keep their identities, their private life, completely out of the public eye, valuing their space above everything else.
That decision, it really underscores his grounded nature, doesn't it? I mean, despite decades of fame, he consistently seemed to seek normalcy, privacy for his immediate family.
Absolutely. And even while he was maintaining the steady acting career, he was constantly exploring new artistic outlets, embracing the way media was evolving.
Which leads to the ultimate expression of that constant evolution, really, in the final year of his life. His move into the newest medium, the world of digital audio conversational series, podcasting.
That's right. In June 2024, just last year before his passing, he launched the Not All Hood NAH discussion series. He hosted it with Wisi Baraka and Candace Kelly. And the whole point of the show was to discuss the diverse lives, the experiences of Black Americans.
This project, it kind of brings us full circle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
From that social consciousness hinted at by his name at birth, to directing those public health videos in the 90s, to writing socially relevant poetry that won a Grammy. His final major venture was using this conversational platform to explore and uplift narratives within his community.
It really demonstrates an artist who is constantly seeking application, discussion, finding truth through his work. It's a career path from 1984 all the way to 2024 that just shows this unparalleled commitment to adapting and to creating meaningful work.
Which, of course, makes the circumstances of his passing just so profoundly difficult, so tragic to process.
Yeah.
We need to turn now to the details of his death. And we'll treat this event with the utmost respect and factual accuracy based on the available sources.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner died on July 20th, 2025. He was 54 years old. And this happened while he was in Limon Province, Costa Rica.
The specific location, according to reports, was the ocean off Playa Cocles. He was apparently part of a group that was learning to surf. The reports from the vice president of the Caribbean Guard, which is a volunteer lifeguard group there,
Okay.
they indicate the incident happened shortly after the group finished their formal surf lesson. He and several others decided to go back into the water.
And the sources really emphasize that this particular area, it's known for having strong, unpredictable ocean currents. And these currents apparently quickly pulled 3 people from the group into distress. Reports mention a woman and a young girl specifically.
Who were thankfully brought back to shore, with help from other beachgoers and the lifeguards who were there?
Yes. But it was then realized that Warner was missing. He was the 4th person. A search started very quickly. We know from the detailed reports that an unnamed boogie boarder and a doctor went into the water and found Warner maybe 5 minutes later.
He was found submerged, unconscious.
Yeah. The local authorities, the Costa Rican Red Cross, they stated that emergency responders were dispatched promptly. But despite that rapid response, the reports confirmed that resuscitation attempts, CPR, were performed for about 45 minutes, right there on the beach.
Wow. 45 minutes.
He was pronounced dead at the scene around 2:10 in the afternoon.
And the Judicial Investigation Agency later confirmed the official cause of death was accidental asphyxia by submersion, basically drowning after being caught in a powerful current.
The sources also noted the terrible reality that a second man, also involved in the incident, was taken to a nearby clinic in critical condition. Just an awful tragedy.
Absolutely awful. The outpouring of grief, as you'd expect, was immense, just reflecting his decades-long positive presence in the industry. His mother, Pamela Warner, she released a statement that offered, I think, immense comfort to people mourning, confirming he did not suffer and was at peace.
Which must have been some solace.
Yeah. She characterized him beautifully, too, as a devoted husband, father, and son, and she encouraged people to remember him by cherishing the joy he brought them. She also spoke about his professional journey, noting how self-confident he was in acting even by age 8, and talked about the later passions that led to his Grammy recognition.
And she announced plans for a public memorial, didn't she? Later in 2025 or maybe early 2026?
Yes. And tributes just flooded in from across the whole spectrum of his career, from his Cosby Show co-stars like Bill Cosby and Raven Simonet, to his adult co-stars like Morris Chestnut, Karen Molina White, Eddie Griffin. Even
major figures from the music world like Beyoncé paid tribute. The collective memory just affirmed his unique status as this kind, highly intelligent, incredibly multifaceted artist.
And as a final dedication, the episode Mother Love of the series Murder in a Small Town, he played Mr. In that show, that episode was posthumously dedicated to his memory, which confirms that even in his final roles, his impact was deeply felt by the production community.
So when you step back and look at it all, what's really fascinating here is just how successful he was at achieving both artistic integrity and commercial viability across such wildly different fields.
Yeah.
We analyzed his progression, from the beloved sitcom star to becoming this prolific TV director in the 90s, and then, crucially, his emergence in the 2000s as a serious Grammy-winning musician, and get this, a Grammy-nominated spoken word poet in the very first year that category existed. He didn't just survive that whole child star curse thing, he completely redefined what success could look like after that.
Right.
Very few people make that transition successfully from a character like Theo Huxtable to a character like Dr. A.J. the Raptor Austin, this super confident specialized surgeon.
Right.
And even fewer manage to win a Grammy for performance poetry while they're doing it. His whole career, it just speaks to this deep underlying commitment to continuous intellectual and artistic exploration. The application of knowledge, the pursuit of meaning, that was clearly so central to him. We know he reflected deeply on his early experiences. He wrote that book, Theo and Me. Growing up, way back in 1988.
Right, when he was still quite young.
Yeah. Which suggests this early understanding of the value of sharing perspective, especially hard-won perspective.
So if we connect that to the bigger picture, knowing his passion for the intellectual, playing an English professor, being a poet, hosting a podcast focused on social narratives, and then add the technical knowledge he gained from his adult roles, especially playing that highly specialized doctor on The Resident. Well, this raises an important question.
Considering that wealth of experience, the perspective he'd acquired over 4 decades, what new book, what new project might Warner have produced if he'd lived? synthesizing all that wisdom as the respected raptor, the acclaimed poet, the dedicated conversational host. The knowledge he accumulated applied to some large-scale project in his mid-50s. I mean, that would have been invaluable. He clearly valued knowledge, application, and critical discussion above almost everything else.
We'll leave you with that thought. The enduring question of the projects, the insights we lose when a truly creative, synthesizing force is taken too soon. And just the sheer depth of the legacy he managed to build across fields that, let's be honest, rarely ever intersect. What knowledge, what art did he intend to share next?